Sabrina Limon, that trial enters its second week with her lover, Jonathan Hearn, back on the stand today. 23 ABC's Jessica Harrington joining us live from the courthouse with details on the wiretapped phone calls played in court today. Jessica?
Well, Tim, the jury heard more recorded phone calls than actual testimony today. All of those calls from November of 2014, several months after Robert Limon's murder. Now, some of those calls were between the lead homicide detective and Sabrina Limon, but most of them were between Sabrina Limon and Jonathan Hearn. And in those calls, we hear Hearn express concern that detectives possibly discovered their affair.
Can you please help us? Can you please help speak wise, help Sabrina to have the right words?
Jonathan Hearn and Sabrina Limon praying together in a wiretapped phone conversation played for the jury today. The two asking God to help Limon as she prepared to talk to the lead homicide investigator. The detective telling Sabrina officials had found DNA evidence, possibly from the person responsible.
Really? Oh, gosh. That's great. Yeah, I'm excited.
In that phone call, Sabrina Limon also agreed to meet at the Kern County Sheriff's Office headquarters later in the week for a final interview. But after relaying the information back to Hearn, the new evidence and new meeting causes concerns about whether or not their affair had been discovered.
On any crime scene, you're going to collect DNA, and there would be no excitement about collecting DNA. And so in that moment, my stomach really hit the ground.
The new information and weird beeping noises they heard on their phones also drawing suspicion that law enforcement may be saying things intentionally.
I was suspicious of it might have been some sort of ruse to get us to talk on the phone.
They both start avoiding certain conversations on the phone and try to coordinate a time to meet in person. In case the DNA evidence connects back to Hearn, he makes a list of reasons it could have gotten there and notes to talk to Sabrina about them when he sees her in person. That list was shown today in court.
I was sort of mulling over potential, not only leads that an investigator might be following, but also potential alibis for those on my behalf.
Hearn also testifying today that he and Sabrina prayed often that their plot would not be discovered.
Sort of that he would, I guess, somehow intervene and guide the direction of the investigation away from both her and myself. So essentially so that we could get away with what we'd done.
And while there were many conversations about the case in those phone calls, there were also a lot of conversations just about everyday life. They'd talk about conversations they had with friends, how work was going, and sometimes we'd even hear Sabrina Limon's children interrupt those conversations. You could hear them talking in the background, and we are expecting to hear more of those calls tomorrow. It's really giving us a glimpse as to what it was like when they had those conversations together. Now, if you missed any of it, you can find the full video on our 23 ABC Facebook page. Live in downtown Bakersfield, Jessica Harrington, 23 ABC.
Jessica,